RunRx here. Happy Wednesday. So here we are back for our Ask Me Anything series. And so the idea is to get people to start asking questions about what is RunRx or something about their own running, especially if you're having stuck in your running and you're having a running injury. So my specialty is helping people run pain-free. That is the whole purpose of RunRx, is simply to get you back out the door running pain-free. So my name is Valerie Hunt, and I have been teaching running, specifically running, for the last 20 years. I've been a coach for 30, and I've been teaching a method called Pose Method for the last 16, 17 years. And what I have found over all of these years, and I've trained thousands and thousands of people, a lot of them online, and that's where I'm going to now, and that's why I'm talking to you. It's amazing how much success I still see and how much joy I get out of someone else refinding the joy in their run. Whether you've never run before, you've been running forever, you know, there's just things that come up in running: shin splints, planters, knee pain, IT, hips, tight shoulders, neck, you name it. And people equate that with running. And I'm like, no, it's really not. it's in your movement. And you know, I would love to say, here's the one stretch. But how many times have you stretched your calf, you go out running, and then there's that same calf thing again? There's a reality that, you know, that's all part of it, right? We have to do the stretches, sure. We should wear some good shoes, absolutely. But really, when we think about how we move, the better we move, the better we move. You know, the nicer I am to my body, the nicer it is to me. So it's the same thing when you're running. If you start to think about when you're running, you're getting off the ground, just simply pulling your foot up, and, you know, all the things that I teach in the running, you start to let go. You know, the whole reason we love running, right? For most of us, why do we love to run? We love the feeling that it gives us. I mean, nothing beats the feeling of that run. I just went running. You want to tell everybody, I just went running. When you had a great run, don't you want to share that? I mean, it's just such a good feeling. And only other people that have run or runners can understand that feeling as well. So then what happens when you don't have a good run? Well, first we blame it on the weather. Then we blame it on the shoes. Then we start blaming our own body parts, like, oh, I have a tight hip, or oh, it's my calf, or whatever it is. And it's like, how about, well, you know what, maybe I should work more on my running so I have more good runs, you know, that kind of thing. So today what I wanted to talk about, I'm going to lean in and just say hi for just a second. Hi! Oh, I recognize everybody. Good to see you guys. One of the things that I get really a lot of questions about is breathing. And so one of the things I want to talk about today is breathing. So the simplicity of it. Just like with running, right? The simplicity of running. And here's what I love to say. The more I study and the more I teach, the more I learn and the more I grow every day. Every time I teach, every time I learn something new. And even when I go and see my mentor, my doctor, professor, boy, I learn all the time. And so I tell people, one of the things that's really nice to know about running is how natural it is. Like, we all have a blueprint for running, all of us. And we just kind of have to find it again. So the way we refine things is we take the simplicity of the movement and we go back to its root, if you will. So the fun thing with running is in its simplest form, running is free falling. Running is the body free falling through space. And when you watch little kids run, you don't even have to think twice. And if you said to them, why are you running? I promise they wouldn't say, whew, I had a really stressful day, I just wanted to get a run in. It's not a thought for them. It's a great, I'm running, right? Like a kid will say to their friend, let's run there. They don't say to each other, man, are you stressed out? Me too, let's go for a run. Completely different. So we lose our ability to connect and perceive with free falling as we get older, because that's just the way it goes. The beautiful part is you can reconnect because it's always here with you. So one of the fun things is breathing. So when you start to run, what happens? My heart rate goes up. So when my heart rate goes up, there's a little bit of panic. So I start to breathe more. And if I start to breathe and make my chest try to expand or make my shoulders try to raise, well, now I've just added more tension. Because when I want to run and run really well, you want your arms free, right? They're free to move. And if you're stuck here because you're trying to get air in and you're tense, then you're not free to move. So the second I'm not free to move, then guess what? Instead of free falling through space, free, I'm doing like actions, like pumping my arms or doing my legs. So let's talk about breathing by itself for just a second. When right now you're just watching this, you're just not even thinking about your breath, right? I want the same thing for your run. We want to run, and when we run, we want to free fall. And our job in running is to hold our shoulders over our hips the whole time. That's our job, and pull our foot from the ground. So as soon as my body senses it's falling, I pull my foot. And if I'm running faster, I have to pull my foot even quicker. And if I'm just hanging out running, it's still a very steady pull. It never goes away. The fall is constant. Gravity is constant. My job is to pull my foot. So then, if my job is to pull and fall and pull, I do not also want to have extra work involved. So what that means is we want to practice breathing when we're not out of breath so that we have a better way to handle our breath when that time comes. So the fun part about running is a cardiovascular activity. So you should be winded. Be okay with being winded. That's the first step. Yes, I'm winded, I'm running. However, I'm not hyperventilating, or I'm not running to a point where I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Most of us aren't doing that. However, it's okay for your heart rate to go up. You're running. Your senses are excited. Your brain's excited, especially if you're free falling. And think about like riding a roller coaster. Say the first time you rode one, man, you're anxious. You get to the top and you're sitting there and woohoo, my heart rate's up, all that. And then you start to go over and you're screaming, I hadn't even started yet. That's kind of what happens in running, is that you start to anticipate what's going to happen, or you think it's harder, and then you're using too much work. You're pumping your arms, or you're reaching your legs, or you're pushing off the back. All of that takes so much effort. So in that effort, you're thinking, I'm winded, where your body's like, not really cardiovascularly winded, but man, you are stressing all of my joints pretty hard. So let's switch over to what's the difference of breathing while stressed, if you will, while running. So what I want you to do, first of all, is put your hands, let's see, that's a good spot. Put your hands like across like this. Put them across like this, like on your shoulders, okay? And then just take a big, deep breath in. Ready? Now let it out. Do that again. Big, deep breath in. And then let it out. Did your shoulders rise? Could you feel, like mine didn't, but let's say they did. I'll go to the side. Did your shoulders look like this when you took your breath in, or did it just stay the same and actually the expansion was here, sideways, right? That's the first test. It's called belly breathing. So the reality is you need to breathe. It's not really your belly, it's your diaphragm, but you need to breathe into the diaphragm and full exhale. You certainly don't want to do that while you're running. You want to do that when you're not running, when you're not stressed out. So the more that I practice that, breathe in. By the way, when you breathe out, when you think you've let all the air out, you haven't. You still have more to let out. So let's do one together. I'm going to face my clock. We're going to do one breath together. So my goal for you is you're going to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to take the air out. And when you think you're done, I want you to try to exhale for like a count of 3 more, okay? So put your hand here on your belly, slump your shoulders. Okay, slump, let it all out. We're going to go in through the nose and out through the mouth. So ready, 3, 2, 1. The biggest inhale you can take. Now ready, we're going to exhale out. See? How much deeper was that breath you just took in? Oh my gosh, so much deeper, right? You might feel a little nitrous oxide buzz. That's called, first of all, it's nasal breathing into the diaphragm, and doing that like 5 times. No big deal. Where you just understand that you breathe in here, and then you let it all out. But when you think you're done, you've got to keep going. There's still more in there. And the second you stop, you'll take a huge inhale. Here's the thing, when we're running and we're stressed out, the more that I've done this, breathing should match your run. So what that means is if my cadence goes up or I'm running a little bit at a higher angle of fall or faster, my breathing rate is going to increase. So is my stride frequency. So is my cadence. All of it, everything's happening quicker. So we don't have time while we're running to be like, right? Because we're trying to hold pose and pull our feet. That's our job. So we learn this right out when you're not stressed out, when you can do this and have fun with it. And then when you're running, what starts to happen, so we want this is where your lungs are, and we want them to travel this way because we need our shoulders to be relaxed for running. And there's no lung up here in your shoulder anyway, so we don't need to ever lift our shoulders. So when you can, let's see. I'll give you a visual aid. You don't have to use anything, but I think it's easier to see. If I have this band on, I want you to think about when you're running, it's like I'm trying to expand the band sideways. So when I'm running, even if I have to breathe quicker, it shouldn't be so much deeper. It could be shallow. But I need to think out. Just like when I pull up, you need to bring more air in. You need to get the air out so you have space to bring air in. So I do this sometimes when I'm not running, but you could pull in place even. You know, like you could have you could try putting your hands here. You don't have to have a band. So try this with me for a second. Put your hands right up here under your rib cage. And first just breathe into the rib cage and out. Do a few deep so you can see my hands are going out sideways. So I do a few deep ones and then I'm going to pull in place. And see, I'm talking to you, but try just one deep and then just we're going to get a rhythm. So do a deep one. All right, now just up, 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 up. I'm going to talk a second. Up, up, up. If I was out running, up, 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 exhale, up, up, up. You don't have to make noise. I'm just trying to get you to feel and sense when I'm breathing. But notice it didn't change anything in my running, right? But I'm now let go of your hands. Relax. Now we're going to pull in place again. You don't have your hands there. But can you? Should feel really light. Right? Doesn't that feel light? You should feel nothing happening in the shoulders. They're nice and relaxed. I'm pulling my feet. And I can talk to you. I can breathe. See? Very simple little tips, right? And I just took you through a small little progression. But now you know, I can practice 5 breaths a day, into the belly, exhale fully, then watch. Your next inhale will be insane, and through the nose. When I'm running, I need running to be running. Running is free falling. I need my running to be about where am I falling to and pulling my foot. Breathing is your oldest reflex that you're born with. Breathing's gonna happen. Your body's an aerobic animal, you'll get that air in. I want you, when you get winded, to think this. Let it out. Exhale, relax. Inhale, panic. So if I'm running and it starts to get really hard to breathe, I need to go, shake it out, let it out. And then get into a rhythm. Up, 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 exhale. See, I can control that and I can keep it with my regular running cycle, and then it just integrates and becomes part of. And I'm telling you, it's like anything else. When you practice a skill, when you're not stressed, just like running, when I practice running in a non-stressful situation, when I go running, it's so much less stressful. The more I can relax, the more I can reduce unnecessary muscle contractions, including breathing. Because breathing is a huge contraction, right? I mean, and so much is going on already. My heart's pumping, my lungs are already trying to get blood out to my muscles. There's already so much going on. If you're trying to disrupt the breathing, you know, it just changes the whole thing. So once you start learning the skill of running and you integrate the breathing in with your running practice, then when you run, you're running. It just all goes together. So it is kind of fun. Looks like some more of you came in. Hey guys. So that was my goal for today, was to help you understand that when you're practicing the elements of running, generally we're practicing the skill part, you know, the gait cycle itself. And part of that is throwing in the breathing. It's not just like it's not the most important thing. You have to breathe. And as soon as you start running, if your first thought is, how do I breathe or what do I do? Then you're going to be in that state of stress. I want you to be in the state of enjoyment because you're running. And let the stress be like, oh, there's a hill, or oh, how much can I hold my fall today? Could I maybe just go a little bit more? That's the stress you want in running. You certainly don't want to be running intense. You want to be running and where am I falling to? How far am I going to hold my fall today? And then doing my job of pulling. And the more we do that and we let go of everything else, including the breathing, it starts to become part of the running. And you reduce tension, guess what? It reduces all the way down. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not quite as tight as I thought I was. Oh, I really don't have all this shoulder issue. I just was breathing into my neck. So part of what we love to do with RunRx is talk about all the elements in the gait cycle and then all the things around it to help you reduce stress and enjoy your run. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have more questions, please put them in the comments. And I'm trying to answer. The breathing was the biggest question since we've done shoes, we did shin splints, we did plantar fasciitis. Today we did breathing. Next week I think I'm going to talk about stretching and recovery, how to use the foam rollers or when to do body weight stretching. I think that's another fun topic. Because my goal is, again, to try to get you out of pain, running pain-free. Also, if you don't know, on the website, we have a fun quiz. It's all free, and it's to help you see that maybe you have a running pain from something in your movement. So we have on there, maybe you're reaching, or maybe you're pushing, or maybe you're a marcher, or maybe you're a leaner, and you don't realize it until you have like a shin pain or a calf pain. So take the quiz, and the fun part is, with the quiz, it kind of asks you questions, and you'll see. There's no right or wrong. And then we give you a great tip on skill strength and self-care to help you with that movement to feel better in your run. So if you haven't done that yet, head over there and do that. If you have more questions, I'm going to be every Wednesday live. Like I said, next week I'm going to talk about how to use stretching and recovery. And if you enjoy the breathing, great. There's a lot more of that on the site. On the membership, and thank you guys again for coming. Have a great day and hope you have a great run. Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry, someone asked a question. Let me answer it real quick. Can I apply your techniques to long runs? Well, absolutely. I hope so. I mean, the idea is running is running. Any speed or distance is running. So we use gravity to run. Doesn't matter if it's 1 meter, 5 meters, 100 miles, it's the same. And that's, guys, that's a great question and such a good question. So that's what's so beautiful about learning to run or running pain-free or just running in general. If we all start to realize it's a standard of movement and that everybody runs. This is really great, actually. They just put this out so that everyone runs through the running pose. When I see your gait cycle, when I see your gait, when I see your running, when you send in a gait analysis, every single person that I've watched run runs through the pose. We all do. However, not everyone is a pose runner. That's the important thing. So yes, maybe you get here, but once you're here, what happens? If I'm a distance runner, I should be here, fall, and pull. If I'm a sprinter, I should be here, fall, and pull. If I'm any distance runner, here, fall, pull. You understand? Only thing that changes is the angle of fall. Whatever speed you want to run, whatever distance you want to run. So your perception, your development of how to move for running applies to all speeds. Isn't that great? So you can train for running with anyone around you, by the way. You certainly don't have to have the same distance goal, speed goal, or any of that going on. That's the joy. So great question. I'd love some information on strengthening ankle sprains. I've had a couple. Yeah, perfect. So next week I'm gonna do strength and recovery. I'll bring up ankles, but that's a great question. And by the way, one of the things, so she said she's had several ankle sprains. One of the things to realize with the body and how it heals, the way your body heals the best is getting put into the correct position. So the muscles, tissues, joints, ligaments, the whole system can work together. The unity of the working together is what brings about the healing. So when you do a movement error, now something like an ankle, like when you do something like if you, say I am walking and I stepped off the curb and twisted my ankle, that's called an acute injury, right? It happened, I saw it happen. Obviously that was not meant to happen. So that wasn't like an error in my movement, kind of, but not something you do daily. However, once you have that ankle sprain, guess what? All of a sudden you start walking a little different. You start shifting your gait. Why? Well, because you have a sprained ankle. So now you have to make sure when you do something like an ankle sprain, but guys, even if it's something like I have shin splints or I have plantar fasciitis or I have a tight calf or hamstring, all of these things affect how you start moving in your regular movements. It affects how you get up and down out of a chair. It affects all of it. So when you start to move correctly, moving from your center of mass, holding correct alignment, not just for running, for walking, for sitting, for all of it, then you start to heal. And what you'll find is, yes, you have to do strength and recovery, absolutely, 100%. However, the more that I keep putting myself in the correct position, the correct pose, whether it's for walking, whether it's for running, whatever the movement is, if I work on that movement pattern and keep repeating the correct pattern as part of my recovery, as part of my training, then guess what? You just over time start moving more correctly. Even if you have an injury, you come back better. Even if I did fall over and twist my ankle, which yes, I've done, I run trails, you come back better because you know how I'm supposed to feel when I move. So really, please understand that there's so much good strength, stretching, recovery out there, and I give it. That's all part of my protocol. But number one is let's see your movement. Let's make sure you're moving well and correctly. We have movement errors, in life. So if I went to go pick this band up and I was like this band weighs a lot. Can you see how that's such a struggle on my spine versus, oh, I'm gonna pick this up, I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna bring it to me, I'm gonna stand up. These are all movements that have to be taught and help to be corrected in. So it's like, if I have a repetitive movement error and it keeps showing up as an injury, the more I keep correcting that movement error, the less potential I have to regain that injury. That's really the whole story on what I do. I just keep repeating the correct movement pattern. We do the strength and self-care that goes with it, and then you just keep healing. And then you stay there. That's the best part, I can tell you. Had so much, we've got lots of stuff to go on. So, do you have any? Oh, sure. I love doing this. I think it's so great that we're really getting a community talking. Like, instead of us just talking about how many miles we ran, like, let's talk about how we run and how it feels to run. And not everyone is enjoying the movement. I want everyone to enjoy their run, whether it's a half mile, 100 miles, or whatever it is. Let's see, another question. Do you have any thoughts about heart rate training? Okay, let me just say this. Heart rate is very individual, number one. And heart rate in running, I think, is misunderstood. And what I mean by that is, and again, I'm very biased, so I'll say that right up front, but I have been following the same training for 30-something years. I am turning 50 this year, and I have happy to say no injuries. Raced a lot, trained a lot. The beautiful part of heart rate is to use it for recovery. So what that means is when I run, I hope my heart rate's high. I'm running, right? I'm connected to gravity. I'm free falling. I'm using my cardiovascular system, hopefully more than my musculoskeletal system. So again, remember I talked about that. Some people's perceived effort, they think they're working really hard, and they are. I mean, they are. They're like, oh man, I'm working. But you're not running, because if you were running, you would have been already off the ground already. So I have to first get you guys to understand to change what effort means. So first, what is effort? What is perceived effort to actual effort? And the reality is, most people, if they use heart rate training correctly, meaning they go out and they run, and they see how high their heart rate gets, they don't try to correct it, they just use it as data. Then how quick does it take for your body to recover down to 120? That's a resting endurance heart rate. Then we can see where your heart is recovery-wise. Then we can base your training on, are you tired? See, if you take your heart rate every morning and you can see it's elevated, you know you're tired, might be a recovery day for you. But it's not about training at a heart rate. Then you're not free falling. Then you're not conversing with nature. You know, you're not talking to your body. I promise you guys, you have an incredible system. And if instead you use the gadget for the data you can get from it. So if I look down and my cadence says 175, I need to fall a little bit more. I'm over pulling. I'm actively pulling. It's a cue for me. I'm on the ground too long. Well, if I'm on the ground too long, it's nothing to do with my heart rate. It has everything to do with I need to bring my hips forward to pull my foot up a little quicker. By the way, when you run correctly, you will actually run with a lower heart rate. So what happens in the beginning is your heart rate shoots up because it's new. I've never done this. This is something, you know, again, acclimation, adaptation. And then you actually can run at a higher pace, at a higher heart rate. So if you limit yourself to training at a certain pace because someone told you to, just be careful with that. What if you're out there and you're having a great day and you're like, man, I found this great fall angle and I want to hang on to it? Why wouldn't you? On the flip end, if you're out there and you're not having a great day, you're like, maybe today's my day to just do some drills and have some fun or do some extra strength work. Use the data from the heart rate as recovery, see where you are. But guys, take at least one day a week and just go see what you got. I'm not talking about going out to see how fast you are. That's not what I'm saying. Take this off or use it for data, but really go out one day and connect with just what running is. That I think we forget. We forgot what it felt like when we used to run when we were little, and we didn't have to have all that. When you start to let go of some of that external stuff, and you literally are running by simply, not even with my eyes, but with my center, feeling, falling, pulling my foot, playing with the timing, finding my own original blueprint of running, that is the joy of running. And I promise you, then you can use all the data you want, because I'm not against heart rate training at all. I just want you to use it to your benefit, to you, specifically to you. And a lot of times people keep telling people, I've heard this all my life, just so you know, even when I used to teach aerobics, people would say, you need to work in this low zone, I don't know, low zone, whatever that means. Well, okay, I use it other way. I say there should be at least one day or one workout a week where you are out just enjoying your run. It's not so much for trying to get my heart rate up, it's more just for being out running. So whatever you want to call that, but I don't have a watch on, I'm just out having a good time. I'm trying to work on that I can fall just enough to pull my feet, right? I had a woman, I have people that run marathons, half marathons, 100 milers. I don't care about the distance. If they're going to try to get to Boston and they want to really get a time goal, we train very differently than I just want to finish and not hurt myself. So just know, I know how to do all that, but every one of us needs to be able to go out and just go and find that fall point, let it happen, and let your feet pull up. And then I so love going out and doing intervals, but I'm telling you, you gotta have all that balance. But it's not because I'm like, ooh, my heart rate says 150, I better stop, when my body's saying, why I'm having a great run. You see what I mean? So There's my long-winded answer. Sorry. But yeah, heart rate's great. Just use it more for data and recovery than letting it guide your run. I want you guys just to start having that conversation with yourself, that running is free falling. And I think so many of you are missing out on your potential simply because instead of seeing what that feels like, you're still allowing external factors to dictate your mileage, your how fast you run, all of that stuff, right? Instead, let me see what I got. That's my answer. Hey Wayne, good to see you guys. All right, well again, so next week I'm going to talk stretching and recovery. So you can always post questions here. I'll tag me. If you tag Valerie Hunt or tag RunRx, it's a lot easier for me to see it. And again, go take the quiz on the site. It's a lot of fun. I'll be back next week with stretching and recovery. You know, you can see me every day. I put something out daily. But it's great talking to you guys. So thank you for the questions, and I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.